My mother displaced me from my bedroom for my expecting sister and her irresponsible partner. Then I quietly orchestrated a reversal that left them all stunned and regretful. I am a 24-year-old man who, over the course of several intense months, transformed from the undervalued son, relegated to an uncomfortable sofa, bed, into the sole legal owner of the family home my parents had owned for decades. In doing so, I ultimately required my entitled sister and her consistently unemployed husband to vacate the premises. The experience was emotionally draining, filled with tension, and in the end, profoundly liberating. To provide complete context, my sister Celeste, yes, that's her actual name, stemming from our parents' enthusiastic embrace of celestial and nature-inspired themes during their naming phase, has perpetually been the preferred child in our family dynamic. From early childhood, the household revolved entirely around her preferences, her achievements, and her occasional missteps, which were always forgiven swiftly. Whenever Celeste expressed a desire for fresh clothing or accessories, my parents would organize extensive shopping trips and spend generously without hesitation. In contrast, when I needed basic replacements like new sneakers because mine were worn through or jeans that had become too short, I was routinely told, "What you have is still good enough. Learn to appreciate it." Celeste's 16th birthday celebration was extravagant. A rented venue with decorations, a DJ spinning music, professional catering, and more than 50 invited friends. My own 16th birthday consisted of a simple store-bought cake, a few family members, and an extended talk from my uncle about the importance of hard work and saving money. When Celeste accidentally damaged Dad's vehicle during an unauthorized late-night drive, the reaction was immediate comfort, embraces, and assurances that young people sometimes err, and it's a learning opportunity. When I received a less-than-perfect grade on a school assignment, even if it was a B-, I faced grounding, extra chores, and lectures about not living up to my potential. This unequal treatment wasn't occasional. It was the foundational rule of our home life. In recent years, I've continued living with my parents while employed full-time at a warehouse facility that provides reasonable pay, though insufficient for purchasing a home independently in the current economic climate. Distinct from Celeste, I contribute substantial monthly rent, a fixed amount deducted automatically. Additionally, I handle all my individual expenses such as mobile service, vehicle maintenance, insurance, and personal groceries, while also assisting with shared costs like household supplies, minor repairs, yard maintenance, and unexpected bills. Essentially, I function as a dependable paying resident who shares DNA with the owners. Celeste departed the family home at age 20 to cohabitate with her boyfriend, who later became her husband, Drake. These names are authentic, I assure you. Drake represents a collection of concerning traits: superficial charm when it benefits him, a persistent pattern of job instability, and a firm belief that external circumstances are always to blame for his shortcomings. Over several years, he has transitioned through numerous employment positions, each concluding with claims of unfair treatment by supervisors, intolerable conditions, or the role not aligning with his self-perceived worth. It was an ordinary midweek morning. I was consuming breakfast and casually browsing my phone when my mother approached and delivered the announcement in a matter-of-fact tone. "Celeste and Drake will be occupying your bedroom starting this weekend." There was no introductory discussion, no inquiry into my thoughts, just a unilateral declaration. I paused, convinced I had misunderstood. My father remained focused on his newspaper without intervening. "Hold on, what exactly do you mean?" I inquired, seeking clarification. "They were evicted from their apartment," my mother explained casually, implying it was a minor inconvenience caused by external factors. In reality, it resulted from prolonged non-payment of rent. "So where am I expected to sleep?" I asked, assuming some alternative arrangement must exist. "The sofa in the den converts to a bed," she responded, as if that resolved everything. This particular sofa bed is antiquated, featuring a prominent metal frame that presses uncomfortably into the back and coils that produce loud creaking noises with the slightest shift. The den area functions primarily as a passageway connecting the kitchen, laundry facilities, and rear entrance, providing absolutely no privacy and subjecting any occupant to frequent disturbances throughout the day and night. Was there any consideration of discussing this with me beforehand? I questioned, attempting to remain composed. My mother displayed her characteristic expression of mild bewilderment when her authority is challenged. "Dear, Celeste is pregnant. Their requirements for space take priority at the moment." That was the decisive argument, the pregnancy, which overrode all other factors without exception. It disregarded my ongoing financial contributions to the household. It ignored that all furnishings and items in that room had been acquired through my personal earnings. The pregnancy elevated Celeste's situation above everything else, closing the matter. My father eventually contributed. "Avoid complicating the situation unnecessarily, Ethan. Relatives assist one another." That familiar phrase had been repeated countless times throughout my life, yet its application was consistently unidirectional. I offered a vague acknowledgement, completed my morning routine, and departed for work. Internally, however, a firm determination began to solidify. They presumed compliance because it had always been my response in the past. On this occasion, I resolved that they would discover the consequences of overstepping with someone who had reached their limit. The weekend arrived, bringing Celeste and Drake with multiple vehicle loads brimming with possessions. It's puzzling how individuals facing eviction manage to retain such quantities of items, including electronics, furniture pieces, clothing collections, and assorted decorations. Naturally, I was recruited to transport the majority of these belongings into the upper level of the house. Celeste managed the relocation process with the authority of a project supervisor. "Handle that container delicately. It contains my aromatherapy diffusers and herbal teas." She had lately immersed herself in online wellness communities, believing that various natural elements could attract positive outcomes. Drake, on the other hand, remained on the exterior steps overseeing operations, attributing his lack of participation to intermittent back discomfort that coincidentally intensifies exclusively during tasks requiring effort. My personal belongings, apparel, reading materials, entertainment console, and more, were rapidly boxed by my mother during my work hours and stored in containers that were then placed in a cluttered basement corner alongside outdated seasonal ornaments and a non-functional cleaning device from years prior. The initial evening on that convertible sofa fulfilled every negative expectation. The protruding bar targeted spinal pressure points precisely. My work schedule required departure by early morning, necessitating silent navigation through the home to avoid disrupting Celeste's sleep. Upon returning that day, my mother inquired cheerfully about my rest. I replied truthfully, "Absolutely terrible." She reprimanded me for profanity, citing concerns over adverse vibrations affecting the developing child. Evidently, an embryo at an early stage possesses the capacity to perceive harsh language across structural barriers. I attempted to persevere. Rent payments continued promptly. Lawn maintenance, technology troubleshooting for the aging network equipment, and waste disposal persisted, including removing refuse that Drake would accumulate indoors rather than depositing properly outside. In comparison, Celeste and Drake approached residency as if it were a luxury vacation, leaving cleaning tasks undone, exhausting warm water supplies daily, and consuming my specifically marked food items. "I assumed it was for everyone," Celeste would claim innocently while eating my designated snacks. Approximately 14 days later, I arrived home to discover Drake relaxed upon my temporary sleeping surface, attired in my prized custom sweatshirt, one I had diligently saved to acquire. "That's my item," I stated, striving for restraint. He dismissed it casually. Celeste approved the use. Upon questioning Celeste regarding access to my stored containers, she responded dismissively, "It's merely clothing, Ethan. You're overly attached to possessions." During that period, my mother initiated a private conversation. Increased occupancy had elevated operational costs. Would I consider elevating my financial input? The request nearly provoked laughter. I already provided rent while the additional residents contributed nothing. Drake's employment search involved minimal effort before reverting to recreational activities, and Celeste focused on sharing her maternal experiences online to a small audience. Inquiry into their potential contributions elicited a stern expression from my mother. That's not feasible currently. Relatives support each other, Ethan. The phrase reappeared, selectively applied as usual. That night, reclining uncomfortably, I eavesdropped on a conversation through adjacent walls where Drake remarked that your sibling should relax. We merely relocated his space. Celeste concurred. He's perpetually resentful. Mother indicates he struggles with generosity. Restraint was required to avoid damaging property. The subsequent morning featured a countertop message. Utility increase of $72 this period, possible to manage. Appreciate it. No consultation, solely anticipation. A pivotal change occurred internally. Continuation without boundaries would cement this imbalance permanently. Funding Celeste's recurrent poor choices while enduring secondary status in the residence, I helped sustain. I maintained discretion, maximizing work hours for additional income. Initial extra payments were made due to ingrained patterns, but strategic preparation commenced. Conditions worsened progressively. Drake utilized my grooming tool, returning it contaminated. Celeste arranged social gatherings, extending late, with volume disrupting pre-work rest. Objections were countered with references to her need for emotional backing during gestation. A pivotal overheard exchange eliminated lingering uncertainty. Entering discreetly, I paused upon hearing kitchen dialogue. "Why must Ethan be so resistant?" Celeste complained. "He seems to dislike the unborn already." Mother responded wearily. "Envy toward you has persisted since childhood. Perhaps relocation would suit him if dissatisfaction is high." Celeste perked. "Precisely. Drake could then utilize the den for his entrepreneurial venture." Mother cautioned, "Proceed carefully. His payments support the home loan." Confirmation. My role was financial utility, not cherished relative. Later, Drake approached regarding vehicle use for a supposed opportunity. My automobile represented independent achievement through prolonged saving. Declination was firm. Prior clearance claimed with parents. Refusal delivered clearly. Reaction shifted to indignation. Pregnancy invoked for persuasion. Response, their circumstances unrelated to my obligations. Departure ensued amid incoming messages labeling me unkind. Evening return featured assembled family for confrontation on behavior. Laughter escaped due to irony. Displacement, added burdens, property disregard, yet my conduct questioned. Interruption. Options presented room restoration with continued payments or cessation of contributions. Quiet ensued. Authority challenged futilely. Emotional display and posturing followed. Deadline set. Overnight elsewhere in vehicle, superior rest achieved. Decision communicated. Financial need prioritized. Occupants remain. Misjudgment. Accounts restructured. Payments halted. Residency maintained with asserted presence. Assumption corrected. Subsequent period involved deliberate resource utilization. Climate adjustment to cooler settings persistently. Extended personal hygiene routines ignoring requests. Individual meal preparation consumed observably. Service interruptions bypassed personally. Maintenance ceased. Accumulation evident. Energy consumption maximized intentionally. Secure storage for provisions acquired. Gradual breakdown observed. Financial disputes frequent. Maternal stress cited repeatedly. Employment complaints amid leisure. Private plea. Loan delinquency without aid. Responsibility disclaimed. Plea intensified. Potential loss. Sympathy withheld. Advanced warnings issued. Temporary service losses. Reduced amenities. Proposal. Assumption of obligations for title transfer. Continued parental residence. Immediate sibling departure. Shock expressed. Deliberation period tense. Assembly convened. Foreclosure imminent. Acceptance reluctant. Documentation processed solemnly. Ownership confirmed. Empowerment profound. Initial action. Restoration of personal space. Opponent items relocated externally. Return confrontation. Outburst met with composure. Deadline issued. Period chaotic. Varied tactics employed futilely. Relocation efforts minimal. Rescue anticipated. Final measures. Access restrictions. Formal notice. Alternative accommodation secured with in-laws enforcing structure. Employment sustained reportedly. Parental guidelines established. Nominal payments, equitable sharing, individual responsibility, no exploitative rhetoric. Transition unusual, Authority attempts self-corrected. Complaints redirected. Harmony gradually emerged. Positive acknowledgments occasional. Maternal offspring arrived, named appropriately thematic. Limited interaction permitted selectively. Obligations current, improvements progressing, residence authentically personal. Inquiries regarding potential return deflected. Justice demonstrates patience. Thank you for watching my story. If you enjoyed it, please subscribe and press the bell icon. Stay tuned for more real-life stories, get more experiences.